Hello, we're here at Reno HQ with Reno member and professional affiliate Chris Dowland. Chris, can you tell me a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, pleasure to be here with you, Tom. I'm the Business Development and Technical Director of AD Marine. Had about 13 years in the shipbuilding industry, designing vessels and figuring out optimal processes. Yeah, we're going to go on a journey together, of course, over the last year with what we do supporting Bayards with their business and product development. And part of that is about the development of aluminium structural bonding.
Okay, great. And what can we expect to see in the video coming up?
Yeah, so it's all about the journey that we've been on from initial testing and trialling the products to developing the joints and what are the benefits and how to make aluminium structural bonding work and why we've decided to do it as part of our shipbuilding process.
Bayards is about innovation and about finding solutions for our clients. So, what is it? This is not something that came overnight. So, we started to think how we could do typical floor details more simple and more efficient and no late welding. So we started to think about adhesive bonding, and this is the first example. But still here, what you can see here is we still need to weld quite a lot. So then we make the next step where we use an extrusion which we bond on the decks, and then we bond it together with the aluminium strap. So with step 1, with step 2 is quite a big development already, because this is, yeah, you can make it prefab, you don't need to weld it, so that is relatively simple. And then currently we are busy in the third phase, is that we are using biparts, which we glue on the decks, and that is even more simple than the second phase. So these are typical examples of things that we do and that we develop jointly with our partners. Here we are to explain a little bit on what we do, and I think a couple of good examples are our friction stir weld extrusions that we weld together without putting heat in, and that is what we do. And we are innovative in the aluminium, and we are making steps with other kind of techniques. This is an extruded panel with the stiffness extruded on it. So extrusion is like the Play-Doh from small kids pressed to a mold, and then you get the right shape. And these are panels of 600 wide, and we weld them together to a panel of 3 meters. And we do that with friction stir weld, so that is in fact also not putting any heat in, not putting any material extra in, and then mill the materials together. The process is quite quick. For a weld seam of 12 meters, it is around 20 minutes. But compared with manual welding, it's not comparable. And also the quality, so there is no heat, or very limited heat input, and the strength loss is very limited, because we have a lot of business units, so our expertise, and we have a knowledge center in the aluminium. We have a lot of extrusions in the library. Why? It's the quality is better, so we work more straight, so less filler needs to be applied, and the speed. It's more efficient. Using the friction weld is something that in shipbuilding is not used in the extent that we are using it. We are, what is it, on an average superstructure of, 80-90 tons. It's about 30% of the panels are extruded panels like this. That is also why we are focusing on co-engineer together with our client in order to apply as much as possible panels like this or other type of extrusions that you could see in our facilities. So here we do the milling of the plates into the right profiles that are required for the shipbuilding. And that shipbuilding in general, our prime business is shipyard building. That requires a lot of craftsmanship and like I mentioned before, the co-engineering. But we have also capacity to do other works than just yachting. Any marine objects we can build, and we can apply the techniques that we are using in the whole Bayards company and adapt it to commercial boats, smaller yachts, other marine objects that we can do. So we are open for anything that marine related. Before I joined Bayards 1.5 years ago, I worked for more than 20 years at Damen on several locations and worked with several ship types. So I have quite some experience in the shipbuilding. We have a quite experienced workforce, and we are busy to rejuvenate our team with always on the guidance of the elderly guys, the experienced guys, so to say. We have established the Shipyard Builders Academy so that we get a vocabulary education for the guys. So they go 2 days at school, 3 days with a senior, doing some practical jobs and getting more maturity in the jobs, but also getting the understanding of the engineering, the material processes, and the next step in ship design and ship construction. So I think that is a very good step forward, and is bringing us or making us ready for the future.
Aluminium is really a great material from a sustainability perspective. In itself, aluminium is one of the most recyclable materials, and the energy to recreate it is quite low, so you can recycle a lot of the material, as you see in the swarf bins, etc. The initial energy, what takes 100% to create a plate, can be done in 10% when it's being recycled, so it's massively sustainable in itself. So for me it was then, okay, I see a lot of aluminium shipbuilding going on, but how can we take aluminium shipbuilding to the next step? When we look at the life cycle management of these ships, long-term fatigue is an issue, and also if we can reduce the weight in the ship, then ultimately we can also reduce how much fuel is required to push these, or energy is required to push the vessels around.
Yeah, my name is Jose Rego Alonso. I've been in shipbuilding for 20 years. I've been doing a bit of yachting as well, around 8 to 9 years. I've been working in Bayards since the last 2 years and doing management engineering for the Bayards Yacht Structures. I've been working quite a lot of different projects, not only yachting but commercials. But I would say that, for example, one of the projects we're working now is fully glass on the superstructure and brings a lot of challenges. And in there you need to combine not only aluminium, if not bonding as well for the glass, and all the challenges with the different subcontractors with the client itself. When I find out what Bayards was doing, Bayards has a history of 60 years of extrusions and mechanical background as well. And the heli decks and all of these extrusions are being bring into the yachting, into the shipbuilding. It was quite new for me as well, and in there they have more or less around 300 profiles under Bayards name. Then they can do a lot, and they can bring it into the yachting. We have friction stir welding, and we have other T's and bars that we use, and they are not common on shipbuilding because normally it's built and a lot of welding. And what Bayards adds value is that decreases the welding, decreases the weight, and what you want in a yacht is fairness. You want straight, nice finish for the painting, for the filler, and yeah, it's the added value that Bayards gives. Shipbuilding in general wants to save fuel consumption, good efficiency, high speed. But when you go to yachting, this goes even more. Then having a light boat is what every owner wants, of course with limitations. You need to make it perform. But yeah, lowering the weight is a benefit for everything. You can put more looks if you want. And the fairness, because the finish of a yacht is not as a commercial vessel. You need to define the full surface needs to be perfectly straight to achieve a very good finish quality. Then these extrusions are reducing the heat implication, the deformation, giving an overall good quality in the end. During my experience in yachting, I've been experiencing different phases, since design and to the end phase, sea trials, but as well refits. Yeah? In the full cycle, even in a refit of a yacht, yes, something that you don't want to burn, you don't want to have fire in your boat, or you don't want to damage the paint that is already there. Bonding is one of the perfect solutions for it, because you can use bonding to glue stiffness. It can be aluminium, it can be carbon fiber, as soon as those stiffness comply with the strength and regulations, and the bonding helps to join it to the boat. Then if you look from the very beginning and you implement as well that in your calculations, in your naval architecture, you can use it as well during your building process. And this is what Bayards is really looking forward to investigate, to evolve on it, and try to even decrease more the welding.
Goeiedag, ik ben Roy Overdam. Ik ben inmiddels 12 jaar werkzaam bij Bayards Yacht Structures. Ik heb hiervoor een opleiding scheeps- en jachtbouw gedaan. Dat was op het Lloydskwartier in Rotterdam. Vanaf mijn 21ste ben ik begonnen bij Bayards. Ik ben inmiddels 33. Ik ben begonnen als werkvoorbereider, 6, 7 jaar. Daarna ben ik de productiekant op gegaan, productieteamleider. En de laatste 1,5 jaar ben ik operations manager en verantwoordelijk voor de hele productie jachtbouw. Ik doe dit met plezier. Wat is mijn verantwoording daarin? De ruimteplanning, de mensenbezetting, het optimaliseren van de processen. Aluminium kan je natuurlijk extruderen, dus zoveel mogelijk extrusies verzinnen, waardoor we zo min mogelijk lassen, vervorming, warmteinbreng, dat soort dingen. En voor de mensen het zo gemakkelijk mogelijk willen maken. Wat komt daar bijvoorbeeld nog meer bij kijken? Vroeger deden we bijvoorbeeld alle vloeren in het schip allemaal lassen. Dat was een behoorlijk proces. Wat we tegenwoordig allemaal met pootjes, met draadenden erop, allemaal op de dekken lijmen. Daar voorkom je fysieke arbeid voor de mensen mee. En het is uiteindelijk ook tijdwinst. En dat is wat ons bijzonder maakt.
So Chris, we've just seen why aluminium is an important sustainable alternative in shipbuilding and the development of structural bonding. What can we expect to see from part 2?
Yeah, so part 2 is all about the deep dive into the development and the implementation phase of the project.
Fantastic. Well, stay tuned everyone.